Hi, thanks for joining me today. Are you totally fed up with the drudgery of life in this step family? Do you feel totally unappreciated? You're thinking, what is this all for? Is it even worth it? What is the best plan to deal with that? I post once a week, so subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell and I'll let you know every time I post. What can you do if you are beginning to wonder what all of this is for and how you can last the course and how unappreciated you are and how all of this is just for nothing? It's just endless and it's thankless and you get nothing from it. What can you do? Well, first of all, you're not alone. It is a very unrewarding task to look after other people's children, especially when everybody else takes the credit for it. Not even nature. They say, oh, he or she's just like his mother. He can do this naturally, or, this happened and it's all just, as a result of their parenting. And you never figure in any of that. And it doesn't matter what you do or how hard you try or whatever you put right, it's just endless, take. And at the end of the day, it's just hard graft. So the question is, what can you do if you feel totally unappreciated and thinking to yourself, this is not worth it? And there is often the end looks a long way away and the work involved is huge and you don't even get an acknowledgement, not even, let alone thanks. So the question is this: how do you cope with that? There is one very important strategy that is well worth doing, and that is keeping the end in mind. And by the end, I mean the thing that you had in your head when you went into this relationship and you thought everything was going to be fine and much easier than it is. And you thought then what the end may be. And the end may be something like, it would be nice to have a larger family. It'd be nice to have more people to share their important events. You get invited to special events because you're part of a family. Now you're going to tell me, well, I'm not invited to certain events and I'm not invited to birthdays and things like that. Well, you may not be at the moment, you may never be, but nevertheless, you are part of these people's lives in a way that you wouldn't have been before. I don't know what you were looking forward to or what you had in your head about what the end would be when you entered this step family, but it certainly is worth thinking about what your end goal is. So what is it you're looking forward to enjoying later in life? And I'm not just talking about the next 5 years, I'm talking about 20 years or 30 years hence, where you've done the job of step parenting, but then you're now enjoying the rewards. It is worth writing down 3 goals, 3 things that you'd like to have as a result of being in this step family. And I say write them down because it's important to have some kind of fixed thing that you can find occasionally and say, oh yeah, that's what I said I was doing this for. Subconsciously, your brain processes written stuff in different ways from verbal stuff. And if you write it down, it changes the language to the brain, and you subconsciously can work towards something even if you've forgotten what you've written down a little while later. Subconsciously, you will work towards your goals if you've written them down. It's surprising how many people achieve their goals if they've written them down. So have a go and write down the 3 things that you are wanting from this step family at a later date. And then think to yourself, where on a scale of 0 to 10 am I with those 3 goals at the moment? So 0 is nowhere, 10 is you've completely got there. Now, it's quite feasible that you'll never get to 10 out of 10. You may, but 10 out of 10 is a tall order. But you may be thinking, if you get to an 8 or 9, that you'll be more than satisfied. So write down where you think you are at the moment. You might only be a 1 or a 2 out of 10, or a 2 or a 3, something really quite low. Just make a note of it. And then I'd like you to think about what it is that would make it half a point better than it is now. So suppose you've written a 4 out of 10 at the moment. What would make you have written 4.5? What would have to be happening? What would be different for you to just think you're just a little bit further down the scale towards your goal than you are now? And then, subconsciously too, when things happen at home and that 4.5 score is met, you think, oh, it's happened, I've got there. It's happened once, and then it may happen again, and then you think, I've reached the 4.5. It's a very important part of keeping your long-term goals in mind. Because actually, if you don't have any of these long-term goals, life, as it is at the moment, can get the better of you. And you can really think that this is drudgery and that it isn't worth it and that all this work is for nothing and that you are totally unappreciated and you're not going to put up with it anymore. And parenting is a bit like that anyway. But when the children are not your own, it can become a real drudge. So, get yourself a pen and paper and a quiet moment, and even if you don't want to spend ages on this, write down the 3 things that come into the top of your head that you'd like to say, you'd like to achieve from being in this step family, and see, and then you've got something in the long term to work towards. And all I can say to you is this, that I can't promise you that it's going to work out like that. No one can. No one can. But you can give yourself the best chance that it will work out, like the goals that you have written down, if you do this, because you've got something to work towards if you do. We run workshops, sessions, an email response service, and we write booklets. You can find links to my social media and website in the description box below.